All right, let's talk about something I think we all get hung up on.
You know that feeling, right? You've got this brilliant idea, something you're genuinely fired up about, but you just can't seem to make a move. You read, you research, you plan, and then you plan some more. But you never actually do the thing.
It's this cozy little place called preparation mode. And yeah, it feels productive, but it's really a trap. It's the place where our best ideas just fizzle out. Welcome to Smiling Cottage. And the reason I'm sharing this today is because I think we've been taught the wrong map for success. We've been told that if we just prepare enough, we can somehow sidestep all the messy parts. But that's just not how anything great gets built. Let's dive into this.
So the first thing we got to unpack is this mindset I like to call the paralysis of perfect. It's that nagging feeling, that belief that we have to get everything just right before we can even take the first step.
See, we're taught this very neat, very linear path. Prepare, then act, then you succeed. And in that tidy little world, if you fail, well, you just didn't prepare hard enough. But the actual path, especially for anything truly new, it's messy. It's a loop. You act, you fail, you learn from it, and then you adjust your aim and go again.
And this just nails it, doesn't it? It's a perfect analogy. You can't learn to ride a bike from a book. Your body, your brain, it actually needs the feeling of falling, that's the failure, to figure out what balance even is. Plain and simple, knowing something isn't the same as being able to do it. Some skills can only be learned in the doing.
Okay, but this isn't just some nice theory. Let's look at some absolutely incredible, real-world stories of people who truly got it, who understood that failure isn't in the way, it is the way.
So, let's go back to 1978. A guy named James Dyson has this idea for a totally new kind of vacuum cleaner. But man, this was no overnight success. He spent 5 solid years, from 79 to 84, just building prototypes. And even after he finally cracked it, it took another 9 years before his machine actually got to market.
And just look at that number. The sheer scale of that effort is mind-blowing. Not 50, not even 500. 5,127 tries before he found the one that actually worked.
And this is the whole point. This is the reframe that changes everything. Dyson didn't see those as 5,127 failures. Nope, each one was just information. Each attempt told him something new. The airflow's wrong, the seal has a tiny leak, the cyclone isn't spinning right. Every single failure was just a piece of data that got him one step closer to the answer. The action was the failure.
And he's not the only one. You know that can of WD-40 you have? It literally stands for Water Displacement 40th Formula. The first 39 formulas were, well, failures. They were so proud of the process they put the number of tries right there in the name. Or how about Howard Schultz? He got turned down by 242 investors before he finally got someone to back his little idea for a coffee shop called Starbucks.
Okay, so changing how we think about failure is awesome, but how do we actually, do it? It's not about just being fearless, it's a skill you can learn, and that skill has 3 basic moves.
These are the 3 skills we really need to work on. First, you make your failures tiny. Second, you act like a scientist and you record what happens. And third, you actually start aiming to fail a certain number of times. Let's break that down.
So first up, shrink the failure. Look, Dyson didn't build a whole new vacuum from scratch 5,000 times. He'd change one little thing, the angle of a cone, the type of plastic. Each test was small, it was fast, it was cheap, but it gave him incredibly valuable information. So for you, don't try to write the whole book at once. Write one article. Don't build the whole company, just test one little product.
Number 2, and this is crucial, record the data. This is what makes a failure productive instead of just a failure. If you try something and don't reflect on it, you've wasted the attempt. But if you take a second to write down what happened, why you think it happened, and what you're going to adjust next time, that's not a failure anymore. That's a data point. That's how the rocket chemical company got to formula number 40.
And last, number 3, set a failure quota. This one sounds a little weird, but it works. Instead of aiming for one big win, aim for a certain number of tries. Say to yourself, this month I'm going to try 10 new things. And here's the kicker. If all 10 of them work out perfectly, it probably means you're playing it too safe. The goal isn't the success, the goal is the attempt.
Now, if you're still not totally on board, let's zoom out. I mean, way out. Let's look at the single most successful, creative, and innovative process we know of in the entire universe: evolution.
For 3.8 billion years, nature has been running this massive planet-wide experiment, and it's created every single living thing we see around us today.
And what do you think is the engine of that process? It's failure, on a colossal scale. An estimated 99.9% of all species that have ever lived on this planet are now extinct. In our human way of thinking, that's a 99.9% failure rate. But for nature, that's not failure, that's fuel.
Think about it. Natural selection runs on tiny, random changes, mutations. And the overwhelming majority of those mutations are useless or even harmful. They're failures. But without that huge volume of failed attempts, those rare, game-changing mutations that drive all progress, well, they would never happen. The failures aren't just part of the system, they're essential to it.
So let's bring this all back home and put our own little struggles in perspective. Nature spent the extinction of nearly every living thing that has ever existed to create the world we have today. When you frame it like that, you or me spending a bit of time on a few dozen small documented failures to find one meaningful path forward, yeah, the math on that seems pretty good, doesn't it? All right, that's a wrap for this episode. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who needs it. This is Smiling Cottage, and I'll see you next time.